recently got into guitar playing, which is awesome, but guitar playing kind of comes with a lot of stuff. And all of this stuff has just been sitting around in my living room. Well, after I built a TV stand in a spare room, I decided to convert this entire space into a guitar playing / video game playing general hangout room, which brought up this project of designing and building a set of chairs that would allow me to go from playing guitar to gaming or watching TV. It's low to the ground so my feet can remain flat-footed while playing. The low arm design means I won't be bumping my guitar into the arms, but they're still there somewhat for aesthetics. Then when I'm done playing, I can ditch the guitar and kick back some to game or watch a show. So let me start at the beginning and show you how I got here. On most of my projects, I do a 3D model on the computer first to not only get the design down, but also generate a cut list, but then I immediately start building. However, on this one, I took the time to do a prototype first. And actually, I did 2 prototypes from pine plywood to feel how it is in real life before committing to breaking into walnut. The first prototype was a high arm chair that I loved the look of the most, but after I put it together, I found out I couldn't play guitar in it. Okay, yeah, so the arms are definitely in the way. Then the second design was the one with the lower arms, and after setting in it with my guitar, I can certainly see that it was the winner of the 2. It's playable. Yeah. With the direction figured out and a few modifications I made from looking at the prototype, I started building it from walnut plywood. Actually getting both chairs from just a single sheet of 3/4 inch ply. To make it more stocky and sturdy, a lot of the parts are 2 sheets laminated together. Instead of applying glue to the entire square, I first traced my template out on the wood, then only applied glue inside of the trace. This will allow the unglued portions to be separated once the shape is cut, and then I can use it for something else since they're actually a decent size. While those were setting up to dry, I started making what will be the seat slats. I did make templates for this project, and I have them available on my website if you're interested. So I started by using the slat template to set up the fence of my table saw and ripping the needed amount. Next was to use a flush trim bit at the router table to make them identical to my template. To speed this job up, I'm taping a few of the slats together so that I can cut multiples at the same time. I'm using a really tall flush trim bit from Infinity that made cutting 3 at a time possible. I temporarily attached my template to the top of this stack using masking tape and CA glue, then used my router to quickly cut the parts to be the same. By this time, the arm leg part was done drying, so I unclamped it and did a rough cut over at the bandsaw. Remember, I already used my template to trace on the shape, so at this point, I cut just right outside of my line. To get the exact shape, I took the part to my armor tool workbench and once again used the masking tape and CA glue trick to attach my template temporarily to the top. For this, I'm using the thick Instant Bond made from Titebond. You just need a small bead down the center of the tape, then apply pressure for about 30 seconds. For larger parts like this, I use the help of my armor tool clamps in the workbench since they're so easy to deploy, adjust, and also release. With the template secured on top, I once again went to the router table to cut my parts perfect. I'm still using a flush trim bit from Infinity, but I switched over to their Mega Flush trim bit, which has a compression cutting design that leaves a beautiful finish on both the top and bottom surface. What I love about this trick is that it leaves no mess. I set those parts aside and started creating the stretchers that would span between the front and back leg. Once again, I used the template for this part to set the fence on my table saw to rip the needed pieces to width. These parts have a dado in them which will later receive the seat slats. So on my template, I cut a marker to indicate the back line position of each dado. So after marking my back line from the template, I used my seat slat to mark the front line, then took them over to the table saw to cut them out. You can see that I used my crosscut sled here, and while it does go quickly, I took my time to creep up on the lines to make sure that I got a nice snug fit. I made sure to test fit each dado as I completed it before moving on to the next one. So this stretcher assembly is also made up from 2 parts to make it 1.5 inches thick total. And I kind of made it complicated to get a look that I think looks nicer. See, the inside has a dado going all the way through, but the outside part has a stop dado which only goes halfway through. This way, whenever the two are glued together and the seat slat is inserted, it has a strong joint but looks seamless from the outside. I just made the inside part, so now to make the outside part. I used the part that I just made to trace the dado start and stop lines, then transferred them to the inside edge with a square. This way I can come through with a router and a straight bit to carve out in between my lines. I used a router to hog away the majority of the material, then used a chisel to hit the corners to make them square instead of round. Now part A and part B can be glued together in order to make up the needed assembly. With those made, I started working on cutting in the dados for these parts to fit into to connect them to the leg arm part. I used the stop dado stretcher to mark the location of my needed cut. Then I brought out my track saw and lined up the track in order to make my first cut. The depth needs to be set so that it only cuts a portion of the way through. I personally made multiple cuts with my saw, then smoothed it out with a chisel. Alright, and before assembling these parts all together, I paused and edge banded them all. Used an iron to roam over it while pressing down until the glue on the back had heated up enough to stick to the wood below. Then I used a chisel to trim off the excess on either side of my part, which made the veneer nice and flush. When banding these stretchers with all of the dados in them, I would actually band right over the top, then use a chisel to carve out the dado slots afterwards. I test fitted a slat when doing this to make sure I wouldn't have any issues later on during the actual assembly, but things looked really promising. Real quick, I want to thank this video sponsor, which is SimpliSafe. If you've been following along, you know that I've been using SimpliSafe for my shop security for a while now. It's an incredibly effective, reliable home or shop security that will make sure your property is safe at a very fair price. I can relax knowing my shop and my tools are professionally monitored 24/7, and if anything happens, they'll make sure that the police are called. The whole system is really easy and intuitive to use and is equipped for worst case scenarios, so no worry if I lose power or Wi-Fi. Recently, I decided to take my shop security one step further and add the SimpliSafe lock, which is designed to make sure my door is always locked. My door now locks automatically on a timer as well as whenever I arm my system. I can grant access remotely if necessary, and I can even set up unique access codes so I can get alerted as to exactly who is locking and unlocking the door. Over the years, I've acquired lots of expensive equipment, and protecting that space and the tools inside is a top priority. If you're ready to have peace of mind on your home or shop security, then visit simplisafe.com/April. Big thank you to SimpliSafe for keeping me and my tools safe. I already did a dry test fit to make sure things would work before applying glue. So now it was time for the real thing.
Oh man, did I just break that? Bad April.
I applied some Titebond wood glue. I used to because it was what I had on my bench at the time. And then I popped things into place.
Yep. One down. That wasn't too bad. Let's hope the second one goes as smoothly.
Once in, I quickly set a few clamps into place to secure it and applied pressure while it dried. I'm using a few of these 6-inch Vessi F-style clamps, which apply a tremendous amount of pressure very easily. After letting that sit for, I don't know, about 5 minutes, I used a chisel to scrape off any of the wood glue squeeze out from the joint. But then I let it set up in clamps overnight. And oh my goodness, I was cursing those stop dados while making them, but man, do I love the smooth look they give that stretcher and this entire assembly. Okay, and now back to edge banding. Before I edge banded the inside of the leg arm parts because I knew I wouldn't be able to access them after gluing in the stretcher. However, I saved the outside until now so that I could hide the half-lap joinery of the stretcher going into the leg arm. I would use the iron to apply heat to the area I wanted to bend while slowly bending it. And this makes it malleable so it doesn't just snap. Alright, and now to assemble some more. Now it was time to glue in the seat slats and join the two leg arm assemblies. I decided to tackle this job by gluing in one side of the slats into one of the leg arm parts first. I would apply glue into each one of the dados, then I would wiggle in the slat until it seated all the way down and back. Once in place, I would clamp it down using a Vessi click clamp. Then, if there is any squeeze out on these joints, I would use a chisel to scrape it clean before moving on to the other side and repeating. The second side was a little trickier because I couldn't move the part around as freely to wiggle the slat in. It is also too tight of an area to get a mallet into place, and I was kind of worried that I screwed up, but then realized I could use the ratcheting feature of the Bessie clip clamps to assist me, which I thought was pretty cool and worked really well. I used the clamps to set the slats all of the way, and then a few bar clamps to seat the slats in the other direction as well. And that is the base done, so now let's move on to making a back. I started off by making what will be the top and bottom rail of the back. These are identical with a few dados cut in to receive the vertical back slots later on. So I once again used my crosscut sled to cut in these dados. After I made all of the dados, I ripped it down the center to divide it into the two rails needed. Doing it this way ensures that they are in fact identical. After cutting out the vertical slats using my template and a flush trim bit, I quickly edge banded the sides that would be exposed, then joined them to the top and bottom rail. Now I switched over to using Titebond's Thick and Quick for these easier glue ups because while it has the same great holding strength as their other glue, it has an incredibly quick dry time and therefore reduced the amount of time I had to wait before moving on. After I veneered those edges, I attached the last parts to make up the completed back. These end pieces are another part where I used a template to cut out. They are also another part that I thickened up by laminating two parts together. After edge banding the sides, I applied some more Thick and Quick to the dado on the top and bottom rail, then slid it into place and clamped it down to dry. Oops, let me zoom out here so you can see the entire thing. There you go, a back. I then moved on to attaching the completed back to the completed base. I switched back to using Titebond 2 since it has a longer open time than Thick and Quick, which just gives me more time to move things around and get the back positioned perfectly before the glue starts curing. I'm also using a bevel gauge to make sure that the angle of one side matches the other. After letting that dry in clamps overnight, I decided to reinforce the joint with a few screws and cover them up with walnut plugs. I first pre-drilled the 4 locations to pin the back onto the base, then used a Forstner bit to counterbore each one for roughly a 1/4 inch deep plug to be inserted in. After driving in screws to each hole location, I went to the drill press and used a plug cutter to make a few plugs. Now I cut these from solid walnut instead of the plywood so that I could leave some overhanging out of the hole to cut and sand flush. I applied some Thick and Quick to each hole to attach the plugs. Oh, and I made sure to pay attention to grain orientation here so that the grain of the plugs would therefore blend a little bit better. After the glue was dry, I used a pull saw to cut them flush, then some light sanding to finish them off. And then, since I was sanding, I went ahead and went over the entire chair before moving on to finish. And it is always exciting to get to this point in the project. I'm personally going with a wipe-on urethane finish, and while you can use a foam or bristle brush, I typically just grab an old t-shirt and cut off a bit to use as my wipe-on rag. I evenly coated all of the surface, then let it sit for a few hours before applying a second coat. Okay, and that is it. My goodness, that was a pretty intimidating build. I have been putting off building a chair for a pretty long time, but I am extremely pleased with how this pair came out looking and feeling. Now I will have a dedicated place to not only sit and play, but to also store all of the stuff that goes with it. If you're interested, I do have templates available for both the short arm design as well as the tall arm design. I'll leave you a link down below to check those out. I hope that you enjoyed this project. Of course, I would love to hear what you think about it down in the comment section below, and I will see you on my next build.